And now, the conclusion.
The car chase.
Okay. What don't you like about car chase?
First of all, I think they would be over very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if you don't have sirens and shit to warn people stuff's happening around them, then you ain't going to get very far. Because you've got 2 lanes. And unless you're driving along the pavement, which people don't really do, in film anyway, maybe they do in real life car chases, but eventually you're going to come to a narrow road or 2 cars on the same road going opposite directions, but you can't get past them and it'll be over very quickly. Or I think it will just come down to who has more petrol.
I've got a hilarious example of that.
Yeah?
You remember when, even before we started the podcast, I went on about this TV show called Too Old to Die Young?
Oh, yeah.
Which I think you'd kill yourself if you've seen that. I think it's just so full of what you call bullshit. Just very slow kind of scenes. But there's a few really hilarious bits in it. And one is they have like a motorway chase. And then both of them have electric cars. And then it's just see who loses charge first. It's a chase where it's not high speed. They just follow each other, but they know each other is there.
Yeah.
And then they put on like love music and things like that. And then they just follow each other all night on the motorway.
But I think that's what would happen.
Yeah.
Unless you knew what you were doing, what are you going to do? You drive up behind someone, and then what? If you hit them, you've got a 50% chance of you just crashing and dying. Yeah. So you probably wouldn't. So unless you knew the old maneuver, get the back wheel, blah, 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 blah. But even then, like, they could just drive away and it would go on forever, or it would end immediately.
Yeah, I think it's more ridiculous in, like, crowded places.
There's always car chases in New York. I'm telling you now, that is not possible.
Or, like, in London. Like,
yeah.
About half the road is always closed for works. Just imagine that. Is there no car chases in movies that you can think of that pass all your test or exciting?
No, because I've got more.
I like the stealthy ones. Like
stealthy car chases.
Yeah, stealthy car chases. Like in Drive, he's the getaway driver and he has to hide away from the police. That's more interesting than the kind of offensive, defensive kind of car chases. So you just never like a car chase scene.
Well, there's so many. Again, there's the breaking of the food stand as well.
The boxes, the eggs.
The boxes, yeah, exactly.
The glasses.
Like food stands, they're made out of like solid wood or like hot dog stand. That would total your car. You drive into that at 50 miles an hour, that would completely wipe out your car. Or worst case scenario, it would flip onto the dash and smack you through the windshield and you would die. And then there's like, that's someone's business, man. Come on.
That's why when you're making a cheap 80s movie, you don't do the stand, you just do cardboard boxes for some reason, just lay it out on the road.
Fully made up.
In like a pyramid formation for some reason. That happens in every 80s movie somehow.
Yep.
It's so weird.
A lot of car chases, it's somehow implied that you can reverse as fast as you can drive forwards.
Yeah.
No. A way to end a car chase really quickly is to get them to go in reverse. And now for the last one, and it's the one that I don't think would ever be possible. It's the one I think that you would just immediately crash and die. You ready for this? Or can you guess what it is?
Is the ramp? Is the ramp and flying?
No, that's a good point though as well.
The suspension would break immediately.
Well, not just that, but the front of a car is heavier than the back of a car. So you immediately point nose down and flip onto your roof.
Yeah.
No, it's when the traffic lights go red and they go through a busy intersection anyway and miss all the traffic that's going left to right.
Yeah.
That is not possible. That just would not work. Because I think about it sometimes. Like, I live just off of like a busy dual carriageway.
Yeah.
And you have to join it and then get up to speed as quickly as you can. And every now and again, I drive up to it and I think to myself, would I be able to just leave? Would I be able to just carry on going and go straight onto this dual carriageway and keep going? Most of the time, probably about 85% of the time specific, the answer would be no.
This is Rick's last episode. Rest in peace.
So, no, that's not possible. I was in a car chase once.
Yeah, I was too.
Yeah?
You tell yourself.
You tell yours.
Mine is really simple. I was driving in London.
Slowest car chase ever.
It was kind of the suburbs.
Okay.
It wasn't that bad. And then I remember this guy is in my fucking ass and just like pushing in. I was like, oh, fuck, I just pulled out because like I'm not gonna break the speed limit. And And I go down, and then he whizzes by, and then there's a police car whizzing by as well. I was like, oh, I guess it was a proper chase. And I just let him go. Whoops.
So you weren't in a car chase. You witnessed a car chase.
I was part of it. That's part of it.
That is not true. You're not part of it.
That's part of it.
Was the guy walking down the street part of it as well? Because he was pedestrian.
If he was hit or he was somehow consequential,
push the light.
Yeah, then he was part of it. Yes. That's the most exciting thing that ever happened in my life. How dare you?
That was the worst car chase story I've ever.
All right, tell me your very exciting car chase story.
I will tell you about my very exciting car chase story. It's exciting to me anyway. I went for a drive with a friend of mine, and this was like, I don't know, somewhere between 11 at night and like 2 in the morning. We were just out driving. And I stopped to go for a pee, and there's this car park near us, near a prison. Got out, parked in the car park, went to pee, looking around, and I see at the other end of the car park, there's genuinely like 2 sets of cars all facing each other. Each set of cars has like a group of guys, and there's like 2 guys in the middle. Yeah, I'm looking at them, like, I look back to see what I'm doing, just getting on my shoes, and I look back again, and everyone's looking at me.
Uh-oh.
So I zip up my junk, and I start walking back to the car, and I see them kind of walking back to their car. Mm-hmm. And then I start running to my car, and I see them running to their car. I bomb it out of this car park, start caning it down the street. Car behind me starts like following me. Now luckily it was up where my ex used to live, and I knew the streets quite well, and they're really narrow, quite dangerous, and if you don't know where you're going, you ain't gonna speed down them. But I absolutely cut into this little road, caned it down there at 50 miles an hour with this car behind me, and then came out the other side. I'd lost them, so I drove round the corner and parked and turned my lights off, and I don't know if it was them that followed me, because I think I lost them, but I saw like cars going by.
Wow, that is like a movie. That happens in Drive.
Yeah,
he does. Yeah, he pulls out to some parking lot and turns off everything quickly.
Yeah, I think because it's another movie trope. You just park up and turn off your lights, and people can't find you.
Yeah,
but yeah, that was scary.
Why would they do business in like near a prison?
I didn't stop to ask them.
Yeah, I know. It's just a weird thing. I've got so many questions.
Yeah.
What would they think that you saw that you needed to be chased?
I don't know. I don't know any part of the situation apart from everything.
It's so weird.
Yeah, that's my car chase story.
Mine's better. More peaceful. This is a trope that died out, but at the time when it was going on, which was 10, 15 years ago, I thought it was hilarious.
Okay.
Guy gets kidnapped on purpose.
Guy gets kidnapped on purpose?
Yes, it started with The Dark Knight. And then following The Dark Knight, every movie, Skyfall, Star Trek, the bad one, just loads of movies where the big plan of the guy is that he gets kidnapped on purpose, and that like 5 to 16 things later that happen, you know, his plan comes to fruition somehow. I just always thought that was stupid. It made sense for the Joker because he's a chaos guy and he just wants to fuck up shit, but it doesn't make sense in Skyfall at all.
Oh, you mean the bad guy?
Yeah.
I thought you meant like the hero gets kidnapped.
No, the bad guy gets kidnapped.
I was trying to think of like, you know that scene where Daniel Craig is in the chair getting his nuts whipped. I'm like, how was that good for him? How did that work out for him?
He did say he's got experience with that or something. No, Javier Bardem gets kidnapped on purpose.
Okay.
Shortly after that scene, I think, if I remember right.
The bad guy gets kidnapped just to learn the plans of the good guys.
I just always thought they was like so obviously aping off The Dark Knight. It doesn't fit every movie. I think the thing that more annoys me is that it is a 16-step plan. And it's like everything will go wrong and you just be in prison. You know? That's what annoys me.
Yeah, there's no benefits to that.
No.
There's no benefits to that whatsoever. There is no point if you're launching an evil plan where your plan says go directly to jail.
Yeah.
Do not pass the hero. Do not collect your $1 billion ransom. I mean, this is such a trope that I don't know even if it's worth mentioning. Because this will be at the top of most people's trope list.
Okay.
Is that the henchmen or the bad guys are really bad at shooting.
Okay.
James Bond's running down a narrow hallway that's a meter wide, and everyone's like, and everyone misses him somehow.
The stormtroopers.
Yeah,
I think that's even worse because I remember scenes in like the original Star Wars where they're getting Princess Leia out and they were like just casually chatting, and then there's like laser bolts like flying by their feet, by their heads. It's like, let's go to the trash compactor. I don't want to go into the trash compactor. Beep 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 beep.
But they are hiding behind the support.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
But yeah, you can still clearly see them shooting them. There you go. But yeah, any kind of action film, or when someone's driving a car and they drive along the road and they're like through the windshield, it's just no.
I thought you were gonna say a different trope.
Go on.
A bad guy kills henchman for shock value. You fucked me over. I must kill you. Or not even that. Sometimes it is just like, I'm so angry and badass, I'm gonna kill my own henchman.
Okay, yeah. To be fair, I haven't got that on my list, but yeah. No one would work for that guy. I always wonder, like, because you get all this like corporate motivational nonsense where you have to be like happy and you always have to do positive things, and you can't say things are bad. You have to say idiot stuff like, oh, it's an opportunity for improvement.
Let's have synergy with the team.
Like, I always wonder how these like bad guy drug cartels work.
Yeah, same. Let's have synergy.
Do you think they do like corporate retreats?
Yeah.
And corporate team building?
They do like an escape room. They take away the guns just in case they get fed up.
Yeah, do you think Pablo Escobar did like motivational CEO videos?
Yeah.
Okay, team, I know profits are down this year, but that's no reason to...
Yeah. They have like a whole expo. Like a bad guy expo. They got like lanyards.
Pablo Escobar.
Yeah.
Drug lord. Oh no, he'd be in like the panel.
Yeah, he'd be the
key speaker.
Key speaker, yeah. And then you can visit all sorts of like independent little bad guys.
Pablo Escobar TED Talk.
Ted Bundy talk.
Fucking hell.
Is this also a trope that kind of died out at the time? Is really annoying to me.
Go on.
It's magic blood.
Magic blood.
Magic blood.
What's magic blood?
And it is the fault of one writer called Alex Kurtzman, who's in charge of Star Trek now somehow, and is ruining Star Trek.
Okay.
Very badly. Basically, he was the writer of those Star Trek reboot movies, where in the second one, at the end, people die, but it turns out the Khan has magic blood, so if you just inject magic blood, they just come back to life, and it just has its hilarious ending where everyone's alive all of a sudden. It's kind of like the Kiss Kiss Bang Bang ending when Lincoln comes in. It's like even he's alive, and Elvis comes in, even he's alive. It was like that, but played not for laughs.
That just seems like a problem you have with the end of the Star Trek film.
Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Andrew Garfield Part 2.
Okay.
Same plot, although I don't blame you for not remembering, because that movie has like 16 plot lines. But yeah, that's also... Spider-Man has magic blood that can save my father. Why don't you give me magic blood, Spider-Man? Harry Osborn wanted his magic blood, Spider-Man. This was a whole big plot point. And then it's like, it could have been just, yeah, here, there you go. But no, he had to...
You can't give... Because if you give your blood over, you could be giving over the powers of being a Spider-Man. They give that to the bad guy.
We didn't know it was the bad guy.
Still, you can tell. Look at him.
He's all green and angry. By the way, Alex Kurtzman is the worst writer in Hollywood. And I don't know how he gets... He's like Elon Musk. He fails upwards. He writes the lamest, most shittiest things. Somehow gets away with it and gets more franchises.
If what you write becomes successful, then people give you more stuff.
But that's the thing, it didn't really become successful. They ended it with Amazing Spider-Man 2 because it was a fucking mess. And then the Star Trek Into Darkness is definitely badly reviewed. And that ended. And then he just keeps doing it.
There was the third one.
Yeah, but he didn't have a hand in that.
Oh, okay.
That was Simon Pegg writing the third one. That's why that's much better, because he's an actual fucking Trekkie that understands Star Trek.
Okay, so I don't watch many rom-coms. Has to be said.
Not anymore. Not after the incident.
The incident.
It's a mystery box I'm setting up for people. That will never resolve.
I don't watch many rom-coms. The ones I do see, and I do see it as a trope because I see loads of comedies make fun of the trope. It's romance in the rain.
Oh yeah, sure.
The idea that because it's raining, what you're doing is more romantic.
I think it's more epic, if anything.
More epic?
Yeah, it is, yeah. I think it is. There's the same feeling when someone chases a person on an airplane or something. you know.
How have you put those two things together?
Because that's what I think it happens. It's like a third acting where it's like, oh no, I really do love her, and you chase that person, and it's either in the rain or chasing them through the airport. I feel like those are kind of equivalent tropes. And
I see what you mean
Yeah.
there. When you said chasing through the airport, I was picturing like some kind of action scene, like there's a bad guy running through an airport and
Yeah.
someone's chasing him with a gun.
And you gotta go with the luggage car to chase them. No, I feel like they're pretty similar.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. now, yeah.
So I feel like they do it for epic reasons.
Yeah.
So like this feels big.
I just, from my own personal experience, people don't like the rain. You know, if I was out in the street holding a girl's hands and we were about to kiss for the first time and it started raining, she'd be like, ah! And she would run under the cover. She'd probably do that anyway, but...
It's not even raining. Where are you going? Wait.
But, you know, people don't like the rain. People don't like being rained on.
I feel like that varies on your location
Yeah?
because I'm from a different country and we sometimes have warm rains, and warm rains are really cool.
But you still don't like stand out in it.
Yeah, you do sometimes. It's really cool. But when it's warm, it's like a shower.
Okay.
It's a bit messy, but could be nice. But I don't think those rom-coms take place in anywhere warm. They're probably in New York.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next one.
Yeah.
Just going to quick fire a few.
Yeah.
Now. Straight drinks at the bar. I don't know anyone that drinks neat. I've never seen a single person in my entire life, and it might be the people who I hang out with, but no one's ever gone to the bar in any place in any part of my life and gone, whiskey, neat. Also, that's another trait that I hope no one ever seems to pay for drinks. You know?
Put it on my tab. But you don't live here, and I don't know you, and I don't have your credit card information.
And they don't use measurements. That annoys me as well. Maybe there's like rural towns that don't use measurements, but everywhere I go in the world, they have a little metal thing they pour out. But anyway, point is, no one ever was like, Malibu and Coke, please. They're just like, whiskey, neat, 2 glass ice, and they drink it.
You don't do that?
No.
Okay, so I'm not in that world, so that's new to me.
No one like gets to the bar on their own and just does a shot of something.
Not even like the really depressed cops, because that's when it happens in movies.
No.
Okay.
Not as their first drink.
Okay.
You might move on to that.
You start light.
Yeah, you start with a beer, maybe a Jack and Coke or something.
Maybe Coke in the bathroom.
Yeah, you know, start the party, start it right.
Okay.
I have a funny story about that. No, I don't.
Is it connected to your car chase?
Right, so from experience, from many, many experiences, I think that the world of cinema and the world of TV massively underestimates how long it takes to dig a grave.
Yeah, I have experience with that. Not grave, but just digging a hole in the ground.
It takes forever.
Yeah, I remember I did it with 2 black belt karate guys. Halfway through the exercise, they were crying. And I was like in a suit because I misunderstood everything that was happening.
What in the fuck was this? This is like the end of a Farrelly Brothers movie.
We had to move a pile of dirt for someone, so they don't.
This is some weird like communist nonsense.
Well, welcome to Hungary. And it took the whole afternoon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does.
And it's 3 people, 3 able-bodied, strong people.
I remember I once tried to dig a pond with a friend of mine,
Okay.
and no,
No.
just no. I think we were there for about 4 or 5 hours with 2 of us doing it, and we had dug about 30 centimeters down, and we genuinely just put the dirt back in the hole and gave up.
Wow.
Supernatural's the worst for this, because they always dig like a 6-foot grave, and they do it in like 2 hours maximum, and it just wouldn't happen.
Strong boys.
Mm.
My turn. Cat fight. Do you know what I mean by cat fight?
2 women fighting?
2 women fighting. And didn't get out of... What?
Nothing. Just seeing where you're going with this.
Some pussy punching. It's
Called fisting.
Yeah, it's weirdly a trope that still happens. And it happens in like big movies. I specifically wrote down it happens in Endgame.
Yep.
And it's the weirdest thing ever in Endgame, But anyway, in the olden times, it was more like, oh, James Bond has the Bond girl, and then there's the evil communist bitch. And then they have a little, like, he's my... Now it's more like all the girls get it done, and they get together. But they still fight the girl bad guy, the girl bad girl. I remember that scene in Endgame, and all the female characters somehow coalesce. It's like weirdly, how did that happen?
They just gather on the battlefield.
Yeah, and they just, same with the bad guy side. Well, it's just a female character, because there's one of the Thanos' hench people.
Okay. Do you know what's weird you say that? Because when I was looking up tropes to find things that I could agree or disagree with, it genuinely, like, every 10th one was the same thing. And the complaint was, oh, when like a 180-pound woman beats up a 300-pound man. I don't know pounds very well, by the way. No. I don't know if that's big or small. But the point was they were making was how when like a woman, being a woman, beats up a big muscly guy. I've never seen that. Like, I have never seen that. And I don't know why people would have a complaint about it, even if they do.
I think Prey was one where they complained that she was too strong.
I know, I like Black Widow. She beats up a whole bunch of like muscly big security guards.
Yeah, that's the thing with that one. I think it's excusable because she's trained.
Yeah.
She does do moves and doesn't just straight up punch people.
It's like a kung fu thing. You use people's weight and momentum against themselves.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's bullshit.
I think it was bullshit. And it surprised me as well that, you know, because I don't see that. I agree with you. I think most of the time they set up the men to fight and the girls to fight, and there's never like a crossover between it.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Cool. Right. So the penultimate pet peeve of mine, that is a trope. It's the idea that there are certain parts of your body you can be shot and just be fine.
Okay.
Oh, I've been shot in the shoulder. Oh, he's going to be okay. He's not going to be okay. He's been shot.
Yeah.
He's bleeding heavily. He's had a searing hot piece of metal travel through his body. He is going to bleed. And he is not going to do well. And he might be in like some kind of recovery for months on end. Or they get shot in the leg. Like, there's muscle in your leg, man. You would not be able to even like hobble around.
Yeah,
surely.
that's even less believable. I feel like with the shoulder thing, you can tie something around it. And if you're really hopped up on adrenaline, you know, because that your body does weird things. And it ignores pain sometimes. Maybe if your body's really hopped up on adrenaline, you can just move on from that. Not using the arm, but using the other arm maybe.
Yeah.
But the leg is really not explainable at all.
Some people get shot through the hand and they're still like, they punch and stuff still. Come on, man. I mean, the only argument I have to that is there are like some occasions I've read, and it may not be true, where people do get shot in like war and they don't realize.
Yeah.
Because it's just like you say, the adrenaline, and all they feel like a stone has hit them on the shoulder, and they do that and they just carry on.
I kind of used the interesting ones in the beginning because that's what I wanted to talk about the most.
Same. What a great way to end the episode.
Yeah. My last one.
Yeah.
Is movies that spell out their message.
Okay.
Specifically, the Barbie movie, which I really liked. I really like that movie.
Okay.
But I feel like subtlety is an essential... I don't even mind political messages. I think everything is political. Your mom's dental records are political. I don't know. You can come up with anything.
Okay.
You can make it political because it's life. So I don't even mind a political message. It's more about the subtlety of it, where, oh, the patriarchy this and the patriarchy that. And I'm like, isn't there like a more smarter way to do this? One way to put it is that every science fiction movie ever is like a mirror of us in society, right? Where we are now. If you don't want to use the Barbie example, for example, the Picard series does that, where it's like, ooh, they travel back to 2024 and there's ice and there's Trump and then there's climate change. And I'm like, everyone knows that's happening and you're not really saying anything. The reason to use analogies and metaphors is to make people who don't necessarily realize or understand the implications of these issues, to make them realize how high the stakes are of these things, right? But if you spell out that, yes, this is Picard season 2 and we went back to the Trump years and everything's went to shit, then the people who support that sort of stuff, it's going to come across like preaching. and they're not gonna care. But if you use metaphors or analogies, something might get through them. Another example of this, and this is something you don't know, but we might catch a movie like this at some point, is like Hungarian films in the Soviet Union. Now, Hungary was kept on a long lead in the Soviet Union. We were very light. We were allowed a lot of things.
Soviet light.
Yeah, we were Soviet light.
Diet Soviets.
We were called goulash Soviets.
Okay.
And that meant that it was very light and people from America could come and do business there. That's how Tetris got out. But even there, you're not allowed to say everything that you thought. But people made films that were full of metaphors and analogies, and then it went above the head of the censors, yet the population understood them. And then it had a great effect where it's still relevant today. That's the other part of the issue is when you go highly specific with your things like ICE and immigration and that kind of stuff. That stuff is definitely not going to be super relevant at some point in the future, and then your art is not relevant and people are just going to look back as like, oh, this lame shit, where people just exactly mirrored what's happening.
The Barbie movie, the point of it was to say it out loud. It was completely on point and on message, because the idea was that women don't get to say those things out loud. They have to just persevere and not talk about it because that's what society puts on them. So when they do say it out loud, it's like a freeing message that you can say these things, and that was the point of it being like so hammered home.
Okay, I see your point. And that's a way to look at it.
I think what you're trying to say is that every film comes in with a message of what it wants to say.
Yeah.
And you just want it to be more subtle.
Yes. That's
Okay.
it. That's it.
I don't think that would be a good thing. I think if things were to the level that you'd like them to be, people just wouldn't watch films because not many people would understand them enough to want to watch them.
I think there's a happy middle ground. This is the other thing, right? So that belongs to this, which is if you say these very real things in your sci-fi or fantasy movie, it takes me out of the movie. If there's another example in Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, when the news talks about Superman, it's like, oh, this alien, is he a terrorist? Is he not? You know, I get that there's supposed to be the message, but I need escapism. In that escapism, there can be a message that's relatable, but I don't need to be preached to.
No, I think the biggest thing that came out of the last 4, maybe 5 years is, like you say, people putting real life situations in film and TV in places it doesn't really belong. I think to the last season of Brooklyn Nine-Nine had to completely scrap the script. They pretty much rewrote the whole last season again because of all the stuff that happened in America with the police. And that's a comedy show, you know? It's a comedy show that you use for escapism, and it mentioned a lot of stuff in there. And it just, like you say, you need escapism. I watched that for escapism, and it's not the way forward. Another massive example, another huge example, because we're only, 3 years arguably away from it. But now if I watch absolutely anything that mentions COVID, I'm like, whoa, that's old, and I don't want to remember that. And
Yeah,
no, thank you.
that's a weird example because I feel like that is weird for people. That do you remember that happened? And it like we almost like collectively forgot.
Yeah.
And then when we get reminded, it's like, oh yeah, it's like 2 years of our lives. It's just weird, you know?
Yeah.
That is a weird thing. There's a separate weird thing. Yeah, so I think subtlety is the way to go. You can still deliver a message, but do it in a smart way. Like old Star Trek Next Generation had all sorts of problems that we have today, but it was all about masked with aliens and different nations and problem solving, and it was interesting. But if you actually do today's stuff that's not fantasy or escapism, that's actually like documentary style, you know, and that's not fun.
No. Would you like to hear my last trope?
Yeah.
It's hackers.
Hacker. Oh my god, have you ever seen the movie Hackers?
No.
We have to watch that at some point. That's the most 90s movie ever made. It's got Matthew Lillard in it, who's Shaggy.
Okay.
He's got like a weird haircut and he's skateboarding and he's like and that's the most over the top. It's so funny, that movie.
Hack the planet! Hack the planet!
It's not just something they do.
It's who they are.
Most computer programs, just click, open, run program. There you go. That's done.
Yeah.
Nobody codes hacking in
No.
real time.
Well, most of hacking is... Have you ever seen the TV show Mr. Robot?
Parts of it.
That one portrays hacking well. And they even talk about it, that hacking in real life is trying to scam people on the phone to give away, like, personal information, most, like, 90% of the time. And not, like... But, like, calling around and, like, pretending to be someone else. And that's mostly hacking. And that's what he does in that show. It's really good.
Oh, we got to get through the firewall. Oh, I got to get the password. There we go. Done. What? How? Huh?
Yeah. Even the quantum computer can't crack a good password.
No.
Because there's too many variables. There's trillions and trillions of variables. Does that still happen, though? The
Yes.
hacking?
Yeah, it does. It still does. All the time.
Can't think of a recent example.
I guarantee if you look for it, you'll find it.
Well, yeah, but I think it was most prominent in the early 2000s.
Yeah, it was, but it's still to this day. I
Yeah.
think it's one of those things that's become secondhand code.
Pun intended.
Yeah. Yeah, like things on fire being a post-apocalyptic. Like this is something that is, and that's it. I think at this point it would shake people out a little bit more if we were like, oh, can you hack into the federal database?
Yeah. See you in a week.
Yeah. Or like I say, he just clicks like run, go.
And it just sits there.
Yeah. I coded it earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna give you an answer in a second. Done. And that's it.
Yay.
That is my list of movie tropes.
And mine. One matching.
One matching.
So does that mean I win because I had the closest answer?
No, because you said 0.
Yeah, that's the closest answer.
Yeah, but you said 0.
And?
Yeah, fine.
Yeah, I win. Let me win something for once.
Cool.
What are we doing next?
What are we doing next? I don't know. What are we doing next for Patreon? Bag of Doom?
Back at home.
Fuck me. It's Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Yeah, those are good. Those are a good movie.
Thank you, Roger, for your suggestion.
Yes.
I say thank you, ironically, I suppose.
Finally something worth watching.
What?
Those are fun movies.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I've never heard of it.
Never heard of it.
I've never heard of it. I reacted purely based on the title.
Yeah, they are a horror comedy.
Okay.
I'm not going to say more than that because we're already 2 hours, 15 minutes in. Killer Clowns.
Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Thank you, Roger.
Thank you, Roger.
Well, I'll see you after we've watched Killer Clowns. And, well, we'll see you after at least 3 more episodes, and then after we've seen
Yeah.
Killer Clowns.
See you after we watch The Dictatorables. Kim Jong-un, we need you.
Son of a bitch, I'm in.